From Fort Smith, Arkansas, this is Midwest Sports Saturday. On a Sunday, because we like to mix things up every now and again. And one of the reasons it's Sunday is because it's Championship Sunday here in Fort Smith. We are in the Northside Gymnasium, home of the Grizzlies, the Northside Grizzlies here in Fort Smith. I'm Joey McWilliams, along with my broadcast partner for the weekend once again, and friend Luke McConnell. And we have a lot to talk about from the GAC basketball perspective. It's Championship Sunday for the tournament, the 2026 edition. We have a couple of good games coming up, so I want to promote those and encourage you, take the time to go over to the GAC Athletics YouTube channel. You'll have a chance to listen to Luke and to me as we talk about some great basketball today. And Luke, the first game, well, you have the call on that one. 1 o'clock tip time for the men. No number one seed in this one. No number one seed in either one of them, as a matter of fact. What we do have, though, is a rematch of last year's championship game between Harding and Southern Nazarene. Harding won the title last year, but it's going to be a good one again today. Talk about this matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. Southern Nazarene, the 4th seed, they come into this one off the big win over Oklahoma Baptist on Saturday. Harding with the overtime win over Washita Baptist. And, you know, these two teams are pretty similar. They want to be physical defensively, and so it is going to be a pretty physical game. It'll be interesting to see how the game is called, to see what the officials let them get away with and everything. So we'll see on that for sure. I think one of the big keys in this one is how SNU is able to play defensively against Keelan McBride. They've struggled against Harding this year. They've lost both of the matchups this year, 74-67 in Bethany, 81-60 in Searcy, in a game that really got out of hand in the second half. But even the one in Bethany, SNU struggled from the field a little bit. Really on the boards in Bethany in particular, just 17 rebounds for SNU in that game, a number that Coach B.J. Foster was pretty embarrassed about, to be quite frank. But it'll be a really tough test. SNU is just 2-5 against Harding in the Weston Jamison B.J. Foster head-to-head time period. So certainly something to note. It's maybe nothing, but at this point with 7 matchups, it might be something to take note of in this matchup. But the Crimson Storm have won their last 6. The 5-point win over Oklahoma Baptist, the first time that it hasn't been by at least 13 in that win streak. Meanwhile, Harding has won 10 straight coming into this one. So this is 2 teams playing at their best at the absolute right time.
One of the longest win streaks for Harding, especially, well, definitely under Coach Jamison as well. I know you know a lot more about Southern Nazarene because you are the broadcast man for the Crimson Storm. But to look at Harding really quickly, Keelan McBride, he was the tournament MVP last year. But it's a team that, you know, obviously has won 10 straight, but they seem to be firing on all cylinders right now. And they've come out, they've looked strong, maybe a hiccup every now and again over the course of the weekend where, they have to settle things down and reset just for a bit, but they have a lot of pieces in place.
Yeah, they really do, and they've gotten some key transfers, Thompson Camara, Ty Cease, a couple of those in particular, but also they've had some really good freshmen play. Reggie Webster, freshman of the year in the conference, obviously the big name in that class, but Marco Rangan, another guy coming off the bench in that 5 spot, he's really good. Toby Pike we've seen in this tournament, just 6 appearances all year, making some noise yesterday against Washita Baptist, but that freshman class is really good. There's a really good foundation there, but they've kind of reinvented themselves to a certain extent. Last year, a lot of offense, a lot of shooting, really good behind the three-point line, and they've been really good behind the three-point line over this 10-game winning streak as well, shooting around 40% from three-point range in that time frame. But the defense, light years better than it was a year ago. Some of that is just the more physical presence that they have on the court across the entire lineup. And then the rebounding has been huge. Number 1 in the conference in offensive rebounding. That's something Coach Jamison told us that he did not anticipate. He did not see that coming, them being this good on the glass this year. So that has elevated this Harding team to a different level. They started the year really, really slow offensively, and they were shooting 39% through the first 2 months of the year, essentially, from the field. But once things really started getting rolling, the Bisons got rolling as well, and they have looked the part here in Fort Smith.
Absolutely. Now, I not only alluded to the fact, outright stated the fact that you know a thing or two about Southern Nazarene basketball and have for a while. First off, how long have you been broadcasting Crimson Storm sports?
This is my 8th and final year with SNU, so time to move on to a different season, but it's been a fun 8 years, and getting to see Adam Bohach for 5 and now 3 years with Coach BJ Foster. It's been fun to see the program, of course, on the women's side with Trent May for that entirety there, but it's been a fun journey for sure, and getting to know the program, the players, and obviously the fans as well throughout all of that. But yeah, it's been another really good year. SNU came in with high expectations, top 20 to start the season, got up to number 5 in the polls through a 10-0 start. A couple stumbles in conference play, a lot of injuries that they battled through late January, early February, but once everybody got healthy, they looked like they did right at the beginning of the season in November and December, and have played really well. They played extremely well yesterday against Oklahoma Baptist in getting that win. They were really physical with the Bison defensively yesterday, holding the Bison to under 40% shooting in the second half, and that was just a real tremendous performance. And it'll be interesting today. SNU's been in this position before where they've beaten the 1 seed out of the 4 spot in the semifinals, but haven't been able to close the deal the last 2 times that's happened, back in 22 and 2 years ago in Shawnee against Arkansas Tech. Can they do it today and get BJ Foster's first tournament title? That remains to be seen.
Yeah, and regionally, this is a big deal as well. Obviously, the winner would get an automatic bid to the NCAA Division II tournament, the Central Region bracket, which is a very tough bracket year in and year out. But, I mean, both of these teams really, they've gotten a little bit of regional notice as well. So a loss today, is there still a possibility?
Just crunching the numbers, it looks like SNU would still be in the conversation. Harding maybe not as much. They do not have the requisite non-conference wins. They lost to Fort Smith and Rogers State to start the year, back when they were shooting terribly. I mean, those 2 games, literally 2 of the worst shooting performances in school history to start the season. Not exactly the way Coach Jamison drew that up, but a couple non-D2 wins for Harding as well. So Harding probably has to win today. Southern Nazarene, that win yesterday over Oklahoma Baptist, it's impossible to understate how big that was and how that changed the calculus a little bit, because when you start putting them head-to-head against even Ouachita and some of the MIAA teams, things start to look good. That win over Oklahoma Baptist, from a numbers perspective, probably the 2nd best win in the region, behind UCM upsetting Washburn earlier this year. So there's definitely still a possibility. It's going to be a tough discussion in that committee room. At some point, it's going to come down to who has the wins. The loss at Northwestern certainly is a pretty big anchor on SNU's resume right now, and that was a 3/4 court buzzer beater at the end of the game, the last game before the Christmas break in Alva on a sleepy Thursday night. So, if there's context involved, maybe that gets forgiven a little bit, but it's certainly the worst loss of those teams vying for those last few spots. Certainly Minnesota Duluth winning the NSIC tournament threw a massive wrench in the plans. If that does not happen with yesterday's win, SNU probably feels pretty decent about their chances of getting in, but with that, makes it a lot bigger of a discussion. And now you've got a big conversation with SNU, Rogers playing in the MIAA final today against Washburn, Missouri Western, Ouachita, maybe Fort Smith in that conversation as well, all vying for 2 spots really when you take out the GAC tournament champion. It's going to be a tough discussion. I think yesterday's win, though, keeps SNU right in that conversation. A win today over Harding obviously, gets them in with the automatic bid. But even with a loss, they've beaten everybody but Harding on their schedule at some point this season, and that's something to be noted.
Absolutely. So that's the men's game. That is set to get underway at 1 p.m. Central Daylight Time now, as hopefully you've made the shift with your clocks already. I'm already a little frustrated about the hour of sleep I did not get last night, but I'm over it now. We have a day of broadcasting ahead of us, and at 3:30, or scheduled for 3:30 p.m. Central Daylight Time, the women's championship game will be on. I get to be on the call for that. Behind us right now, and you may be able to see it at least for sure here, the Northwestern Rangers under Coach Tasha Dieselhorst, and they are in the GAC Women's Basketball Championship game for the first time, winning getting wins number 2 and 3 all time in the conference tournament so far this weekend. And it was a big game for them last night, a huge win, a 3-point victory over Arkansas Tech.
Yeah, it really was. And Coach Dieselhorst telling us in the post game, they lost to Tech in Alva 86-85 in overtime, and she made the point. Like, we knew we could not get into that kind of track meet with them tonight, and they didn't. Some of it was the fact that neither team really shot the ball particularly well. Northwestern found enough offense in that third quarter to build a pretty good lead, and Tech was just unable to come back late. And unfortunately, that was the end of Coach Dave Wilbur's career for Arkansas Tech, and just big shout out to him for his career and what he's done there with the Golden Suns. But for Northwestern, huge opportunity today. They were right on that bubble. Obviously, with Harding losing to Southeastern yesterday, that makes this a big matchup for both of them, obviously, but it kind of removed the possibility of the winner of Northwestern Tech maybe slipping in as an at-large, because now you've got Southeastern in the mix as well. But it is what it is. You gotta win. I mean,
it's March.
At the end of the day, winning should be rewarded, not necessarily who you played all the time, or just because you lost to a tough team. At the end of the day, winning matters, and that's what we've got today.
You do win and go on at this point in the year. And again, it's March. Well, Northwestern Oklahoma State is going to take on Southeastern Oklahoma State, a team that the Rangers have beaten twice already this year. Southeastern gets in, also a 3-point victory yesterday against the top seed Harding. And Harding still, it's going to be in the tournament. I don't think there's any question about that. And as you mentioned now, somebody's going to steal a bid from someone else, it looks like, with this championship game today, automatic bid. Southeastern, in the championship game last year, lost to Harding in that title contest. But Coach Darren Grover's team is back once again. And they're one of the hottest teams, not only in the conference, definitely in the conference, but in the country, I believe, as well, having won 13 of their last 14 games, and they're on a roll.
Yeah, should be noted, the only loss in that stretch was to the Rangers up in Alva a couple weeks ago. But, yeah, Southeastern totally made massive improvements defensively, and that really was the key. And Coach Grover yesterday telling us, that was my fault, wasn't putting them in the right positions, which, every coach is going to fall on that sword for sure. But also, a lot of young players grew up. As good as Tori Kilburn is as a true freshman and the freshman of the year in the conference, she needed to grow up as well. And she's done that. You've seen other freshmen step up. Hallie Hyatt has stepped up in that backup point guard spot. Also getting Stevie Stinchcomb back from injury in that first semester. She made her debut in January at Southern Nazarene to start 2026. That was massive for them, both from a leadership perspective and an on-court execution standpoint. So that was big. Akiria Hawk being healthy again in the post, that was big, as Mackenzie Espinoza was really the only true post player that they had at that point. Kilburn obviously a post, but she's only 5'10", and you've got a lot of 6-foot-plus ladies in this conference that that's tough to deal with at times at 5'10", so especially as a true freshman. But Southeastern playing so well right now. They do it in a lot of different ways. Obviously, you've got the post with Kilburn and a lot of scoring coming there, but Kinsley Warden can score it from all 3 levels. She's an outstanding player, outstanding rebounder, cutter, mover without the basketball. And then you've got some just really nice complementary pieces. Freshman Katie Allen has been big behind the 3-point line this year, especially in the second half of the year. Just so much has opened up for Southeastern as the season has gone along, and you can see that they're playing with a lot of confidence right now, and I would imagine that today they'll play with that same level of confidence.
Absolutely. This should be 2 very, very good games. And again, we invite you to watch the games. GAC Athletics is where you can find it if you search for that on YouTube. It's the GAC Sports Network and a crew that is fantastic year in and year out. It's a privilege to get to work with these guys all the time. Privilege to get to work with you as well. And I'm glad to get to sit next to you for another weekend, and we're wrapping that up today. So I did ask you a bit. Not much, but I'll ask this one question. Okay, so you're wrapping up your time as the voice of the Crimson Storm after 8 years, and you do a great job. And again, it's been a privilege to get to work with you in the times we've had in the last 3 or 4 years as well. What's next?
Well, a lot of soccer games, that's for sure. The kids' activities, just all over the place. It's, always tough to give up, virtually every Thursday, Saturday from November to March, and schedules happen, and ultimately, got to family first is what ultimately that's got to come down to. But we'll still be here, Joey. We'll still get to do this together every year. A lot easier to plan for one weekend in March than every Thursday and Saturday for 4 months.
I was on the call for Southeastern Games for a total of 13 years, and I do understand exactly what you're saying. And there comes a time where, as much as you enjoy it, you move on, as you said, to the next chapter. So thank you very much for visiting with me this morning, Luke. I really appreciate it. Look forward to getting to broadcast with you here in a little bit.
Absolutely. Pleasure's all mine.
Luke McConnell, now a regular guest here on Midwest Sports Saturday, today on a Sunday. So, Luke, I'll let you go on. I think you were looking to figure out more brackets anyway, so I got to crunch the numbers. And we have one more guest coming up here, so as Luke steps aside, I'm going to invite one more guest to come in. And this is his second time to be here on Midwest Sports Saturday, again today on a Sunday. And unfortunately, Nathan did not, or possibly did, get the memo that it was suit time today. And did you get the memo and just rebelled?
Well, for us, the truck crew, wearing jeans is wearing a suit, because most of the time nobody actually sees us, so we're usually in sweats just trying to be comfortable, sitting and making sure we have a good show for 10, 12 hours.
I'm totally just teasing you. I have to get that in. Nathan, among other things, produces, directs, he's creative, he's a drone operator, and the list goes on and on and on. I'd love to see your resume someday, because I know it is lengthy. But an integral part of this GAC Sports Network crew, which, again, for me, it's been a privilege to be a part of since 2013. And that's becoming a larger and larger number all the time, Nathan. But tell us a little bit about this weekend, what's going on here in Fort Smith.
Well, we can't just talk about lengthy resumes and not talk about yours as well. We're all aspiring to be like you. We were just talking about you in your band history and your band resume, right? But no, getting up to this point, it's been a lot of prep, a lot of work, and a big team, but we all do it together. We couldn't get here without the next person. I'll go through a little bit of the names here. We got Taylor, who you had on your last show when we were in Shawnee. She's punching all the buttons right now. You got me next to her in the back row. With graphics, you have Tamara and her awesome husband, Keith, who's behind the camera right there, the staples of GAC for many years before I was ever around.
And someday we will have him on camera on the show, and he's shaking his head. I didn't even look. I knew he was shaking his head as I was saying that. It will happen someday, but go ahead.
So next to Tamara, you got Dallas, who is our official replay. Anytime anything that goes through for the officials, he gets to handle them directly. Behind that, you have Aaron Garrett, who's been doing audio with us for a very long time. Newly acquired talent, we have Zach Brown, who's currently doing our wireless right now, but he is one of the engineers giving assistance to Matt, who is the pinnacle of what we do right now. And then our wonderful cam ops, I listed Keith earlier, but you also got Hunter, you got Jillian, who Jillian is a star in and of herself. Did you know she came here just after having surgery just a couple weeks ago because she wants to be a part of this team so bad, right? You got Chase, who's one of our newly growing and blossoming camera operators that we love to work with. You got Tebow, who has that wireless camera in game, is in the huddles. Like, he is he's talking to these reps and coordinating with them to be on the court as much as possible without colliding with anybody. And then we have our package replay operator, Chris Morgan. Everybody is doing what they can, but they couldn't do it without the next person. And by saying that, we can't do what we do in the truck without you, Luke, and Alyssa. The work that you guys do, and I think Luke was saying like 20 hours leading up to this when we were talking the other night. I can't imagine what you put in behind the scenes that you don't even broadcast, what he puts in behind the scenes that he doesn't broadcast, what Alyssa puts in behind the scenes, and then all the running around and getting the interviews, getting the post-game press conferences and all that, and bringing that to the crowd and to the audience that we have. It is a full team effort, and I'm glad you do this show that we can kind of put a little recognition to everybody that does that.
Well, that's my honor and my privilege, and I say this here on the channel regularly, but I don't think I say it too much. And the honor to get to work with the GAC Sports Network crew over the years, and I mean, Keith and Tamara, they predate me on the GAC Sports Network, and I go back a little ways. I mean, that was near the inception of the conference, but they welcomed me in. And I've never forgotten that, and I was very grateful to get to be a part of it and to get to work with these people who are family to me now. So I'm very, very thankful for that, and definitely need the recognition here on Midwest Sportsnet and beyond. So we're always going to do that, Nathan. No doubt about that. I've enjoyed getting to meet you and know you in the last 4 or 5 years now. How long has it been?
This is the 4th year. It actually just popped up on Facebook Memories, 4 years from the first one.
That's cool. Okay, now then one other question. Personally, by the way, it was nice to see your wonderful wife. She stepped in and got to visit with us on Friday night, Cassandra, and shout out. So, what else do you have going on besides just GAC stuff? I mean, you have a lot on your plate. Talk a little bit about what else you do outside of the GAC Sports Network world.
It's a long list, but like this morning, Cass and I, or last night after we finished at about 10 p.m. last night, Cass and I drove back from Fort Smith to Bryant, got all the dogs taken care of, and then got up to the church at 6 a.m. They had an event this week, so we reset it for the worship and the service this morning. Aside from that, we're going to wrap up next week. We got another basketball tournament for the high school state finals. After that, I've got a plethora of festivals, FIFA events, and never-ending LED projects that go to about mid-August. But between sports, live music, and the church, I think I'm fully booked for the next 4 or 5 months.
I thought you were going to say years, which is probably wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility. I'll bet you could book up 4 or 5 years pretty quickly.
I gotta keep a marriage, Joey.
I do understand. Hey, Jody, how you doing? I'm still in Arkansas, but I'm coming home tonight. So I look forward to that. Anyway, Nathan, thank you so much. It is a privilege, sir, to get to visit with you today. And I know it's somewhat of an abbreviated show, but it's been a little while since we've had the opportunity to be live. And this is one of our spring shows that we just do not miss. Get to be a part of the basketball tournament here. I know that we're looking to do Midwest Sports Saturday back on a Saturday again. A few more times during the spring. We will obviously have a stop in Bentonville, Arkansas as well with softball for the Great American Conference. There is an outside chance. Now, I'm trying to promote this. In 3 weeks, there is an outside chance we could be in Topeka. So I'm just going to lay a little bit of groundwork on that. It's not 100%, but we'll have another couple of shows on Saturday mornings. And don't forget that college football this week will not be live tonight, but it will be live starting again next Sunday night. Doug will be back with me, and we'll have more of the NAI college football coaches during the spring. Spring games are just around the corner. Spring practice has already started for some of these teams, and we look forward to bringing you all the coverage of that. Again, Sunday nights, it's the live broadcast of college football this week with Joey McWilliams and with Doug Gann. Luke McConnell, and for Nathan Johnson, man, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much. And shout out to all of you all. Don't forget, 1 p.m. Central Daylight Time, GAC Athletics, and you get to see the GAC Sports Network. By the way, you can still search GAC Sports Network and find it on that URL as well. I am hearing GACSportsNetwork.com, the inimitable Matt Johnson in my ear, letting me know that it is GACSportsNetwork.com. And I'm sorry, I haven't gone through that route in a little while, so I'm very YouTube oriented at the moment. So I just look it up and I'm subscribed to that channel. If you have not yet subscribed to Midwest Sportsnet, I encourage you to do that. We are almost at another milestone, so please go ahead and give that a subscribe. It's free, and absolutely it won't sign you up for anything except more content like this. For Nathan Johnson and Luke McConnell, I am Joey McWilliams. Please watch us this afternoon. In the meantime, thank you very much to all of the GAC Sports Network crew behind the scenes helping to bring you this broadcast today. God bless you all, and have a great Sunday.